this out. You weren't lying when you said I'd hear you.
Yeah. But, yeah, brand new engine. I've just run it in, so it was a bit of fun on the way here.
Well, you just put like a really powerful engine in a really old car.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey!
You need to check this guy, Josh Knecht. This guy was homeless, is that correct?
It was in a shed.
In a shed, and he came to the Property Investors Crash Course 2015. Since then, he's done so many property deals. Hey, what is up? My name's Samuel Leeds. I have been in property now for 12 years. I've done over 300 property deals. But rather than you just hearing from me every week, me talking about what I've done, I like to get other perspectives from other property investors and also my students. So I'm going to introduce you right now to a guy called Josh Knecht. Now, this is his second time on my YouTube channel. He was on about 18 months ago or so. He is full-time in property. He's done a lot of different types of deals. He came to my Property Investors Crash Course in 2015, 5 years ago. And now we're still friends. He's still doing deals and he's sat here in my house. Josh, welcome to Winners on a Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here again.
So you've done so many different types of property deals, and talking to you is like there's a wealth of knowledge and
Thank you
depth.
so much.
You've seen good, bad, ugly.
Absolutely.
We've done deals sort of together. I've sold you deals.
Yeah, we sold deals. You referred them, so yeah, we've effectively done JVs.
Yeah, you've had problems which I've come and helped you
Yeah,
with.
you've saved me a couple of times. Let's be frank.
But also, you've become friends. We've had dinners together
Definitely.
and things. So Josh, thanks for coming down. Why don't
Pleasure.
you just tell us, for anyone that hasn't seen the first interview that we did, what's your kind of backstory?
Backstory. So at 8 years old, I used to pull out the drawer under the phone, which in those days was connected to the wall, and look at all the rolls of cash. Now, those were there that my parents had an annex on the back of the house, and every month they would put the roll of cash, which was rent, into the drawer, and eventually it'd go into the bank.
Yeah.
But that was enough for me to know that property works if you do it right.
Is that they were paying the landlord, or was that they were receiving?
The tenant in basically an annex of our house was paying my parents.
Right.
So that was one of their
and you
kind
just
of
like the look of
investments.
that good cash.
I was like, hell yeah, I could buy a lot of sweets with that. And
Yeah.
as I got older, I could buy a lot of, cars and whatever.
Okay.
From that, and it was like, if I get into property, it'll be, I'll have a drawer full of cash, basically.
Yeah.
So then like most people, I did nothing until 2008 crash when that happened, and I went, it's the crash. I need this to buy cheap houses. And so then I started getting involved in property, doing stuff. I managed to get someone to take the mortgage because I wasn't mortgageable, and someone to front the funds. And I bought my first house in the middle of Devon, which I've just actually sold, which saved me in lockdown, I might add. We'll come on to that later. But it was rent the rooms out. It was my own house effectively. And that from day one paid for all my living expenses, all my fuel, all the mortgage, and I was kind of like, wow, well, this is good.
Yeah. And you bought that in what, 2008?
It was a little bit after 2008.
Good, you waited for the repercussion of the
crash.
crash.
Yeah, so I waited a bit. I also wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing.
What year was that when you bought that?
I probably waited a couple of years, probably 11 maybe.
2011.
Maybe 12, something like that.
Around about that time, 2011, especially in Devon, was where property prices started shooting up again. So did you buy before that boom, or was it during that boom?
Well, I don't really know. I didn't have my eye on the market that much. I just knew my strategy was buy a house that was rubbish, do it up, take a mortgage out on it that's effectively pulling all your money out if you can, and rent it out.
Yeah.
That was as much as the plan I had at the time.
Right,
but I knew that worked because I'd seen houses that sold for this much, been refurbed and put them back on the market.
Yeah.
So and auctions were a great place because I could go and see who bought the property, go and speak to them and go, can I come and look around your house?
Yeah.
And if you ask enough people, someone's going to say yes. And so I got to watch people sort of do it before I'd even done anything. Then I bought it. And actually, I've had it for years as a single let, and it's been okay. But the strategy when I was buying it was, it needs to be in need of refurb, it needs to have a garage, and it needs to have a toilet that I can read a newspaper on. And it matched all three of those, so I bought it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So that was like the first property to your, and at the time you didn't know you were going to end up being a professional property investor, or did you know?
I knew I wanted to be in property. I left school, went into the building trade, and then decided that wasn't really where I wanted to go, which I think we covered a little bit on the previous video. And then once I'd been to PIN meetings and property networking events, I kind of got, this is exciting. I can really do something with this. It was real world.
Yeah.
I could see the refurb, I could see the refinance, and it was like, okay, this makes sense to me.
Did you first hear me speak? Was it a PIN meeting when you heard me speak?
Yeah.
Did I sell you a deal?
You did.
And did I sell it well?
You did.
Talk to me about sales.
The sales, as such, was a gentle pitch.
My pitch to you?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason I say talk to me about sales, as someone who's gone through property, bought many properties, sold properties, I think, you might disagree with me, I think that sales is a very important aspect to property business, because I think that money comes from people, not property. It comes from tenants, it comes from valuers, it comes from investors, it comes from joint venture partners.
Absolutely.
Even when the value goes up and then you sell it, the value hasn't gone up. Really what's happened is someone said the value's gone up. So you need to be able to be good with people. So that's why I think it's just so important to be able to close, to be able to find out what people want, give it to them.
Okay, so are we talking the sales process? Are we talking about the actual selling of the deal to an investor? How do you mean sales?
When I say, I'm talking about, I sell to my tenants. If a potential tenant comes in, I'll sell to them. If a tenant has a problem and they're kicking off and going crazy, you have to sell them on the idea that it's okay and come up with a solution.
All the time.
You do. I think everything is sales.
It is.
I had to sell you to come on this channel.
Yeah, you did. It worked. You're obviously all right.
Yeah, I sold my deal. How much did you pay me for that first deal that I sold you? Do you remember?
About $3,000.
About $3,000. And I've done hundreds of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I've still got it. I still haven't refinanced it.
Right, but you will do.
I will do.
Marketing as well.
It's probably got 40, 45, 50 grand worth of equity in it.
Good. Another thing is marketing. I think people forget that property investing is a business.
Yes.
It's like you have a product, and then you have a customer. Then you have a marketplace. Your product is your house. Your tenant is your customer.
Yes.
Your marketplace is what do people want? What are people looking for?
Your investors are also your customers.
Yes, 100%.
And if you have repeat customers, you've got a decent business. And you don't have to have millions and millions of investors to have a really substantial business.
Correct.
Because if you're doing property that's... let me give you a little bit more detail about the property that I bought on the way up to do the last video.
Yeah. I think you bought a house that same day or something.
I did, yeah. I went up there. I phoned my investor on the way and said, look, I've seen this property. I'm going to go and have a look at it. Are you interested? I need 150 grand to buy it. Because it was 145 plus stamp legals. Thereabouts 150. He said, yeah, right, no problem, let me know. So I viewed it and went, yeah, it's amazing. Are you in? Yeah, I'm in. And then I drove up and spoke to you. So it was 145 purchase price. By the time I'd done about 6 grand refurb, stamp legals, few little bits, staging as well, I was all in for 162 and a half. 162
and a half, and that's literally everything.
That was everything, yeah.
Did you buy it cash?
I bought cash, yeah.
Okay, but you used
With
his
investors.
cash?
Oh yeah, just use my own. Why would you? I've got investors that shared a profit with me. They're very happy with that because I don't have to do anything, and I don't have to refinance my portfolio to buy the next deal. I just use their money and pay them back. So during lockdown, I got that revalued at 200 grand.
Nice, good.
6 grand refurb. Legal. So I took out 75% loan to value. I don't like to rack up my loan to values too much. I think it did get down valued a little bit because before lockdown I had the 2 estate agents come around. I normally have 3, but I had 2. Both of them said 220. So the valuer came in and said 200. Yeah. I took 75% loan to value, so 150 out.
Yeah. So you left in about 12 grand.
Yeah, and then I rented it out during the lockdown and the refinance period. I was renting out to 2 nurses. So it works out now with the rental profit from that period, I've left about 5 grand in it.
Wow, nice.
So it will be less than a 1-year payback period.
And what's the monthly cash flow on that now?
Getting 890 rent.
Nice, okay.
And I think it's 260 or something for the mortgage.
So Josh, talk to me, okay? Because I know you've done a lot of joint ventures.
Love joint ventures.
You love
that. People.
And this is why I wanted to talk to you about sales. I want to talk to you about marketing. But what people want to know is how to buy a house without using any of their money. What people want to know is how to become financially free. What people want to know, but I'll say, yes, that's what you want, but to get there, you need to understand sales, marketing, because joint venture, you had to sell that guy. And believe it or not, I don't think a house will sell itself. If you have a brilliant house, I used to be an estate agent and I had to sell houses. Unless you market the house. You don't market it, no one's going to know it exists.
Exactly.
And then if you can't sell it, you've got to sell people on the idea of going around and looking around it. Then you have to go around with them and you have to, not like an annoying salesperson, but you have to find out what do you want. Okay, show them the right house. And then you have to close and say, you know, how would you like to pay?
Yes.
You know, what's your time frame? When are you ready to, you know, should we get started?
Which actually brings me on to a point. Like, estate agents don't ask the right questions.
No, they don't.
To the people that are selling, it's like, you know, they just go in and they assume that everyone wants the best price for their house.
Yeah.
Which, if you're in a difficult situation, is not necessarily the most important thing.
Correct. It's speed.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people want speed.
Yeah.
I got to sell it this month. I'll drop it 25%. I need to sell it this month. Other times people will say, well, I'm not really in a rush. If you can get the maximum premium price for it, I'll consider selling.
Then that's cool. Then put it on the market and sell it for that. But the people that might be in a difficult situation where, you know, they're moving abroad and they've got to get rid of it or something similar. I mean, there's hundreds of reasons why. They sometimes forget to tell the estate agent that that's important. And the estate agent will put it on for, you know, a decent price. It will take a while to sell, but there's a buyer for everything. However, if they forget to tell the estate agent and the agent doesn't ask, because they never do, you know, which is more important, the price or the speed, for instance, then that can sometimes get forgotten. And then people are really in a sticky situation if they're getting, you know, repossessed or something and they haven't sold in time.
How do you get these joint venture partners?
Sales.
Okay.
I had hundreds of coffees.
Yeah.
I went to networking meetings and I collected as many business cards as I could. I asked, what's your objectives, what's your time scale, and what's your pot? Right, and these are three things that I actually learned from Susannah Cole, if you don't mind me.
No, not at all. And I know you've done lots of other training. You've done
I'm a massive fan of training.
Yeah.
It's got its place, and it is really, really vital for you not to ruin your pot effectively. Because right at the beginning, when you and your money are easily parted, if you give it to someone that's unscrupulous and you lose it all, you're starting from zero. If you're starting with a pot, which is better than where I started, you've got a good chance as long as you do the training and you do a property that profits.
Actually investing in yourself, you're almost protecting your money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that. So, you know, joint ventures. So start off, you do a lot of networking. Get yourself out there.
I phone people. I just hit the phones. I have days where I'll phone 120 people. And I'll just go, hey, it's Josh. What are you up to in property? Or to be fair, I have the same spiel. It's, hi, it's Josh, 2B Property. I met you at whatever event. I'm just phoning to find out a little bit more about what you do in property. Yeah. And that's my standard intro to any first call if I've met them at property networking. And then I just shut up. And I'm like, take notes. Okay, what you do? And then, okay, great. You're interested in this area. Can I put you in touch with whoever if I'm not working in that area? Or it's great, I've got a project in that area. Do you want to come and have a look? And by building that sounds horrible, sales funnel, you get people that you know, like, trust, and will buy from you, and you will buy with them.
It's called building your list.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I'd rather you wipe my money than wipe my list.
Sure.
The person who has the biggest list is the person who's going to win.
Provided you've kept up with the people on your list.
Yeah, follow up, right? And that's where sales.
It's all about.
And you've got to actually sell to that list.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, that sounds dirty and horrible. Selling is serving. People will only buy something. The person that joint ventured with you is going to be like, thank you so much.
Yeah, totally. Every time. Can we do it again, please?
Selling is serving. If someone gives you money, they're giving you a certificate of thanks.
Yeah, totally. The thing is, if they've had an amazing experience, they've bought a house, they've seen it, they've followed you through, they'll go, can we do that again?
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, what have you spent the money on? A holiday, a ridiculous car. Great, let's do it again.
Yeah.
So that's a little fun bit.
So you've got a list.
Yeah.
You network, you go online.
I go to coffees.
You're very much like, you are online, but yeah, face-to-face, very much face-to-face.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you a bit more online.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I'm not very good at marketing myself out, to be honest. I have got a YouTube channel, 2B Property.
Yeah.
I have got my website.
Check the YouTube channel out.
Yes.
2B Property. Check it out.
Yes,
Yeah.
there are some terrible videos from when I first started
But
speaking.
was it as corny as the videos that I had you on when I was selling your houses? Remember
Probably not. No.
when I started my YouTube channel, it was the corniest thing.
It was great.
But
I just laughed.
But if you're not embarrassed about if you're not embarrassed about yourself from 1 year ago, if you don't
then you haven't grown.
You've not grown. If you don't look at yourself from a year or two ago and go, oh man, I'm embarrassed, you've not grown. And if you can't even look at yourself from a year or two ago because there's no footage or there's nothing to see, then you didn't put yourself out there enough.
Definitely.
That's my philosophy.
And to be honest, I now class myself. I've always, since then been an investor, but I'm officially a successful investor because I got my first hater.
Oh, you got your first hater?
Yeah, got my first hater. Love it.
Well, you know what? I always say, for every 100 people you've helped, you're going to have at least one hater.
Oh, of course.
And if you haven't got any haters, then
You're not trying hard enough.
Well, you've not impacted enough people.
Yeah.
You've not impacted enough people because if no one knows who you are, then you're doing something wrong. And here's the thing. That's marketing. Marketing is, in very simple language, is awareness so people know you exist. Now, they might not like you, they might not know if they can trust you, they might know, but that's marketing. And then as you nurture your list and follow up and get to know them, that's part of the investigation, that's part of the nurturing, that's part of the serving. And then you're selling, but you're only selling to people that want your product, need your product.
And they don't have to be pushed into it. You can go, hey, it's Josh, how you going? Da 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 da. Oh, you've got some money to invest? Okay, I've got a project. Are you interested? Shall we go out for a coffee? Have a chat about it.
Yeah.
That's as hard as the pitch needs to be.
Yeah.
If they know you, like you, trust you.
Yeah, and then I think as well, closing and actually asking people for the business. Yeah. Once you know that they want it, so I'll do pre-qualify questions. I'll be like, listen, have you got the funds in place? Yes. If I can find something that ticks, your boxes, are you in a position where you can move today? Yes. What are you looking for then? Listen. All right, I've actually got something that ticks the boxes for you. Here's it, boom. Then I'll sell it, I'll go over the numbers, they'll like it. And then I'll ask them, great, so are you in a position where you can move on this? Yeah, probably. Great. When would you like to get started? It's just, for me, it's just asking questions, but asking the right questions.
Yeah, people are scared of that.
Yeah, people don't want rejection. People don't want to be told no. We were told as growing up, we were told, don't be cheeky, don't talk to strangers, don't get told no, no's a bad thing. But actually, if you don't want to get told no and you don't want to talk to strangers, how on earth are you gonna make it in business? If you don't talk to strangers, what? That's the opposite. You've got to talk to strangers.
Exactly. Even me, I'm strange. I'll talk to myself.
You're very strange, dude. That's why I like you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so talk to me through some other deals then. So that one was when we last met. You were
so I bought that one. 145, 162 and a half all in, 150 out, and about four grand left in, 4-5, something like that. So what have I got? 3 offers out accepted at the moment.
Great.
One was off market, which came as a result of buying one that was on market because he had another one in the background that he hadn't put on the market yet. I said, hey, do you want to bet sell both? I'll buy both. Yeah, okay, great, thank you very much. So numbers on those, they are, and I think in the last video I said to you, I don't source out deals very much because I phone people up and go, do you want a joint venture? And they go, yes. Okay, fine, we're joint venturing it. And so with this first flat, I said, right, I'm going to sell one out just so I've been through the process. I mean, I'm all registered and legal as a sourcer, insurance and IC and all that kind of stuff, but I've never sold anything out as a joint venture. So, right, market it, put it out, send it to my email list. No one phone. Right, that's it, I'm buying it.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, I bought it. I was like, okay, I can't wait any longer. I put it out 3, 4, 5 days. No one had said anything about it.
Interesting.
It's amazing. 142, worth 200 to 220, with a 6 grand refurb. It's kind of the deal I found on the way out. Yeah. This is another one of those, and I'm like,
forget this, I'm buying it.
All right.
That's so funny because I know so many investors, myself included, that have done that exact thing. They're like, they put a deal out. It doesn't sell. You'd think if it didn't sell, you might be thinking maybe there's something wrong with it. But you're so sold on the deals being good yourself. You're like, this is such a good deal, and it ticks you off so badly that no one buys it. You think, forget it, I'm going to buy it myself.
Exactly. So that was the first one.
Okay, why couldn't you sell the deal? That's interesting. Is that because your list isn't big enough? Is that because your email wasn't worded well?
I don't know.
I need to help you on that.
You do need to help me on that because Yeah, because something wasn't right. I don't know what
When
it
you
was.
structure a joint venture, how do you structure it?
So this was a source deal.
But when you do a JV in general.
Okay, well, so they basically buy the property in their name.
Right.
Because if not all the time, some of my trusted investors will just send me the money. But generally, if I'm working with someone, they want the property in their name because otherwise they're going to freak out. They bought a house, it's not in their name, and they'll just wobble.
So it's solely in their name?
So it's solely in their name. They buy it. They pay for the refurb and all the refinance, and at the end, get 3 valuations, take an average. The average would be the assumed sale price if they're buying me out, or we sell it, okay? And the difference between our costs and the sale price, which is the profit, is split 50-50.
Okay, and you have a contract in place, right?
Yeah, contract in place. If I'm buying the property in my name and the investor's paid for it, they'll have a first charge.
Yeah.
So it's got to be legally tight.
Because the thing is with joint ventures is it is a blank piece of paper.
It is.
Every deal is different. Depending on how much money they're putting in, how much money you're putting in, or you might not be putting in any money. You've got to have key roles, responsibilities, a clear contract.
Yeah, solicitors draw up everything.
Yeah.
It's just the cost of the deal. Yeah, a couple of grand, the solicitors will okay the contract.
So these are
signs.
flips that you're doing, and you're buying a house, doing it up, selling it.
Buy, refurb, sell. Occasionally, I will want to keep the house. If I've bought it in my name, I can do. If they want to keep the house, they just pay me out what would be effectively half the profit, as if we sold it.
What's the most challenging property thing that you've had to go through in your life?
Was a property. It was a 6,000 square foot ex-window house, ex-window factory.
Yeah.
A 6,000 square foot in the centre of Bristol, in St Paul's. It wasn't my deal, but I fundraised to be able to buy it because it was on an option.
Like a lease option, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was talking to someone at networking event. He said, "Look, I've got this deal. It's on a lease option. I need 300 grand to buy it, and we're going to go for planning, etc. And we're going to then sell it at auction." The plot opposite was the same size. Had sold at auction for £1 million with planning. No brainer. The only issue was I hadn't done my due diligence on who I was working with, and we just were not compatible. So a year down the line, my investors are due out a ton of money. I actually, because of the unknowns, I did this on a fixed return. So they're due out a ton of money. The planning hasn't gone in. We haven't progressed any further on the deal. And I'm going, right, I need my money out, mate. So it all got a bit tense and complicated.
Yeah.
A lot of money locked in. A couple of investors that were in there. I managed to refinance other investors in to pay out some of the investors. One of my investors was paid back late, and as a result, lost me 150 grand investor. But
What do you mean, lost you 150 grand investor?
Yeah, because the investor was paid back late.
Yeah.
Because we had to go to solicitors to basically try and get my money out of the deal. Because it was like, this was the timeline. The planning hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Right, just pay me out. You can do the deal, just pay me out. This is the timeline, and it's up. So, yeah, that all got a bit tense, really. Solicitors were involved.
What would you say that
I learned masses from that.
I was going to say that. I mean, what would you say the lessons were from that? Because it sounds unpleasant, can happen in property, and even if you are the most experienced, professional, cautious investor in the world, you can still have problems, and you're still
going to have
things
problems.
Disastrously go wrong at times. In this case, what was the main lesson that you got from that whole experience?
Don't work with someone you don't know properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So one of my rules is I have to have at least 10 touch points, whether it's phone calls, coffees, meets, investor events, tours, whatever. I need to have met them or had some decent contact for 10 occasions, on 10 occasions.
So you know them well.
I know them well. That's got to be at least 6 months.
This is my advice to you as well, okay? Because flipping that the other way, right? So for someone to do business with you, they're going to want to have spent time with you. They're going to want to know you, like you, trust you.
Well, by default of my rules, I won't work with anyone that I haven't met 10 times.
No, but here's the
6
thing.
months.
Here's the thing, right? They say that the average person will only do business with you, serious business, when they've spent 7 hours with you. Yeah. However, hear this. When you have books that take 7 hours to read, When you have a YouTube video going out every day, most of my fans, my audience, my people, they feel like they know me inside out. They know my flaws. They know my strengths. They know my character. They know my views. They know my friggin' family. Right?
They're your extended family now.
Yeah, they're my extended family. I've been doing YouTube for 5 years. I've been in property for 12. So for me, when I want to do a joint venture with someone, if I'm saying, hey, do you want to fund this deal? People know me. And if they don't want to do business with me because they don't like me, at least they know me enough to know they don't like me.
There you go.
So that's why I'm saying to you, as someone that's doing business with people and just growing your list, there's nothing more powerful than doing YouTube, writing books, letting people know who you are. It's branding. People sometimes say, well, Samuel, why would you, if you're making so much money from property, why would you teach people? And the answer is it's not really a very good question, but I'll give it an answer anyway. Number one is because I really enjoy it, and not everything is about money.
Yeah.
So when you become wealthy, now it's, okay, what do I enjoy? I enjoy this.
Yeah.
I enjoy having conversations with people like you on YouTube. I enjoy training people. But number two is, in having a brand, i.e. writing books, teaching YouTube, all this stuff, running programs, most of my joint venture partners are my students. You know, most of my, you met hearing me train, hearing me speak. Now, albeit it wasn't at my own event, you came later, but so the joint venture partners, the investors, the friendships, the business. I mean, geez, I have people messaging me every day. Have you got deals? I have tenants messaging me. I'd love to be one of your tenants if you've got any properties in Birmingham.
Brilliant.
So I think that's the power of branding. What do you think about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And part of my branding is the hat, right? You'll see it on the website, in the logo and that kind of thing. And that does help people recognise who I am. If they have seen me on your video or whatever, they'll go, hey, Josh, I saw you on this video. And that'll start a conversation. And the power of what you have created, which I'm working on, i.e. the YouTube and all that kind of thing, the benefits are huge.
Yeah.
So as a direct result of being on Winners on a Wednesday, I then came to Christmas dinner, and at that dinner I agreed a joint venture in Southampton with one of the other attendees.
Yeah.
So directly that has caused me to do another deal. It caused me, it's probably the wrong word, but as a result I've got another deal that's now making me money.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's hugely powerful, and yeah, I need some education on marketing for sure.
For sure.
However, I have decided over lockdown that I was going to write a book.
Yeah, good.
Which is like a massive thing for me because I'm so dyslexic you wouldn't believe. But it's like someone else trying to train for brain surgery. That's how difficult me writing a book is. And it's going to be a lot about property, but a lot about my story because, in the past I've spoken to you about, I was living in a shed, at one time.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because I mean, honestly, I know you've obviously told me and stuff, but it is an incredible, your journey. You were like homeless at one point.
Yeah, so it kind of, at the same time as I was doing that deal that was all going wrong with the window factory, I'd put all of my investors' funds into that deal, which stupidly was someone else's deal I didn't know very well. But you live and learn. That was all going wrong. It was a factory in Bristol. My parents had just passed away, and at the time we were in rented accommodation, so we could no longer keep the house because the parents were basically funding that for their care and that kind of thing. Dad went into a home. I was like, I'd stopped everything to look after them because they were both really ill. And when the inevitable happened, they both passed away. It's like, wow, I don't actually have anywhere to go. All my investors' money is locked up in this deal, which is going completely wrong. I better find somewhere to live.
Yeah.
And I had a really wrecked old Mondeo that I slept in for a while. I was like, oh, this is terrible. And basically I got told there was a shed on the edge of the train tracks in Croydon. I was like, great, I'll move in. I was like, well, it can't get any worse.
Yeah.
So it's up from here. It was -7 and -8 in the winter in that shed. Oh man, it was cold. But I look back now and laugh. Mad.
You know what though? It just shows how bad things can get, and also without knowing you had a little bit of knowledge. You obviously knew how to raise money. You knew a little bit about property. you know, but a little bit of knowledge can be very dangerous.
Yes, it can be. It can be. Which is where education has huge amount of value.
Yeah.
You know, and then actually got a bit more training and put in a few things that, you know, stop that ever happening again.
Yeah.
So
what about the biggest win? Like, what's the? I mean, that deal was awful. And what year was that? Was that?
It was fairly early on.
Yeah.
It was ironically after I'd bought that first house, but that was then rented to a family because I'd moved in to help my parents.
This was like probably around about 2013.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's a shame because I started my training 2014. So if only.
But hey, what a lesson!
Yeah.
Lesson to have.
And your investors got paid back now.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were paid back. It was just a few months late.
Yeah.
A couple of investors, I'd raised money to pay them out. I said, look, this is all going wrong. One other investor, I said, I'm doing this deal. It is coming. There's been a delay. I didn't tell them what was going on, but I just said, it's coming. It's just going to be a little bit late. And they were totally cool with it.
What happened to the deal in the end? Did the deal come off in the end?
So I eventually, with solicitors involved, etc., got paid out and just basically walked away from the deal. I was in Bristol the other day and I went past it and it has been knocked down. So, yeah, they might have got ahead and done it, but when we're talking like 5 years later, they've obviously done something with it, but I don't really know.
Yeah. What about the biggest win? When did you, at what point did you realise, you know what, I'm actually making good money now, this is really sweet?
So, I did, in 2016 was my first like real big win for me. I'd done a few little deals which were alright, buy refurb, rent out, but I bought a huge 3-bedroom house in Stoke-on-Trent for 73,500.
This isn't one I sold you, is it?
It's not, no, yours is Wolverhampton.
Okay.
But actually you did find me a manager for this one.
Okay.
At one point. So that was 73, I spent 20 on it. I then refinanced it after 2 years, and that was valued at 125, and I pulled 90 out.
Nice.
So it was a money out deal. It took me 2 years to kind of refinance and everything. But in the meantime, I found a rent-to-renter who's like, I want to take it for 2 years and I'll pay you £800 every month. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So £800 a month. During that time, I had no mortgage on it. So with the exception of the bills, it was like 600-700 quid straight in my pocket every month. No mortgage on the house. And he was managing it, rent to renting, so he organised everything.
Yeah.
It was like, yes, I'll have a few more of these, please.
No money down as well. You pulled all your money out.
All the money out. And actually, to be fair, an investor gave me the 75.5 grand anyway.
So it was a no money down deal.
It was no money down. Refinanced, pulled it out, and it was like.
How much did you have to pay the investor back, and how did that work? What was the contract?
So I paid half of the uplift.
Yeah.
I just said, look, it's going to be a couple of years. Are you okay? And then, yeah, fine. So
they put all the money in. They got 50% of the uplift. But was it in your name or theirs?
That was in my name actually.
That was in your name.
We bought it cash. They had the first charge on it.
Okay.
So it took a little bit of time for me to get the money out.
See, when you know how to speak to people, how to find deals, you do not need your money.
No, you don't. And again, it wasn't a hard sell. Hi mate, how you doing? Yeah, I found a little deal. This. It's a 2-year time period. It's going to give you this much profit from this much in. What do you reckon? Sounds amazing. All right. Do you want me to send the solicitor's details to you? Yeah, no problem. And like that afternoon, it was like signed and across from the solicitors. This is what we've agreed. Go. Like,
that's great.
Oh, amazing.
I think there's 3 types of deals. There's deals that underperform, there's deals that perform, and then there's deals that overperform.
Sure. I mean, at the moment, that is rented with a manager, and that's £1,000 plus every month.
I think I remember that. I think I remember that deal actually.
Yeah.
I think I remember that deal.
It was around the same time that we were doing stuff.
Who was the not the name, but how did you find the rent-to-renter? How did that come about?
So I think I might have trotted into your office and go, I've got a little deal.
Did I find that person?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, there we
go! you jumped the gun, but you
I didn't know. Sorry, I jumped the gun. I ruined the punchline.
Yeah, I think you probably just went, hey guys, I've got a rent-to-rent deal. Is anyone interested? And,
but talk to me about the win-win of rent-to-rents, because you're an investor. You don't have a rent-to-rent business, do you?
To me, rent-to-rent's a bit difficult to get my head round.
That's interesting. Talk to me.
And I get why people do it.
Yeah.
Because they rent the house from me at 800 a month, and they rent out the 5 rooms at 300 quid. 3, 6, 9, 12, 35, 15. They pay me 800, bills and whatever. They're probably going to make 400, 500 quid a month.
Yeah.
To me, awesome. The amount of effort that it takes if you're not using a sourcer to go to a letting agent and go, can I do your job for you? And I see people traipsing around agent after agent after agent trying to find a deal. And to me, it's like, you're doing all the work, you're not getting all of the profit, you're paying over market rent most of the time, and you're not getting any uplift from the property. And if they put that much effort into going to coffee with people and saying, this is my business plan, do you want to fund the next deal? They're going to be making a hell of a lot more money.
I think it depends on what you want. And listen, I'd never say you're wrong, because
that's right.
Everybody has got their own thing. If you want to get £2,000, £3,000 a month cash flow coming in, and you want to leave your job and do property, I personally think rent to rent is probably the best way of replacing your full-time income, going full-time into property, getting the learning, getting the experience, getting the cash flow. You might scoff at 500 quid a month. Like, it's only 500 quid a month, and they've got to do the effort, they've got to manage it, they've got to be responsible for it. But actually, 500 quid should be a minimum, could be more. Yeah. But you only need 4 of those. Replaces an average salary. I tell you what doesn't make sense. Working 40 hours a week for £2,000 a month, working your ass off for 40 years to retire on 40% of what you couldn't afford to live on in the first place. That doesn't make sense.
Love that quote.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, from your perspective, you might say, I got this house, I don't want to manage it.
Yeah.
Rent to renter, give me my guaranteed rent. You might say that.
For me, it makes sense.
But from their point of view, they're happy to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And another thing as well is you are quite a frugal property investor that wants, you're a businessman.
Totally.
So they might give you a very good monthly rent, but often when you're a rent-to-renter, you're going to say, look, you got no late payments, guaranteed rent, no maintenance, no management. You're marketing in this place for 600 quid. How much are you going to be left with after you've paid maintenance, management, and all that? Oh, maybe 450. All right, I'll give you 450 guaranteed. And then suddenly you've got the uplift profit, and you've knocked them down a bit.
Yeah.
So depends. Obviously, there's good and bad rent to rent.
Sales. But for me, everything I do, I'm comparing to using someone else's money, buy, refurb, refinance, getting a free house.
Yeah.
That's because that's my kind of cookie cutter, if you like. So I compare everything to that.
Yeah.
And I have people that say, hey, do you want to come and build a block of flats? Yeah, I'd love to. Show me the numbers. And
another thing.
Do you know what? I can buy a flat. So here's my strategy, right?
Yeah.
Every year I will look at the average wages for the year before. So to give you an idea, 2019 from one of the, I can't remember what source it was, but it was £36,611 was the average UK wage for 2019. We're like, cool, 2020, that's my minimum profit.
Yeah.
Okay, why? I made it up. And if I only do one deal, I'm still making the average wage, and I'm not going to starve to death.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to end up in a shed again. I'm not going to have a really difficult conversation with my investors if I'm making 36 grand per deal.
Yeah.
36, 611. If I'm buying, refurbishing, and selling, that's my number.
So you want to make the minimum wage per deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why not?
So you wouldn't want to do a deal if it made you 20 grand?
No.
Can't be bothered.
Yeah. Because the effort, I'm at a level now where I can go, no, I don't want to do that, I'll wait for the next one. But at the same time, if I'm then waiting and not doing anything, I'm wasting my time. Yeah. So there's always got to be a balance.
So you'd rather do less deals, but do good ones?
Yeah. Yeah. And that changed over time. At the beginning, I was like, 10 grand a deal, yeah, I'll buy it. I'll make 10 grand, I'll do, multiple products.
I guess you don't want to be a busy fool.
Yes.
And I always say, whenever you're working on business, you need to ask 2 questions. Am I learning? And am I earning? Are you learning or are you earning? In the early days, you'll take on a deal that's going to make you 10 grand because the learning you're going to get from it alone is worth it. Even if you made a grand, it's worth it. But when you get to the point where you've done it, you don't need to do it for the learning. So suddenly it all becomes about the earning. It all becomes about the money.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. With the exception of if I can buy, refurbish, refinance and pull all my money out and not make that, it's a free house, that qualifies.
Yeah, exactly.
So those little ones that I'll do.
Yeah. So what's the next plans from here? What's the goal over the next couple of years?
Next couple of years, I I started my whole property business to buy an F35 Ferrari, and I haven't bought one yet. I want to buy one of those in the next...
What are you driving right now? I saw it outside. It was a crazy car.
You might have a little clip of me coming in. It's a 1985 Rover 3.5 litre SD1 V8. It's a little toy. The plan was this year I was going to buy the Ferrari, but lockdown happened, and that took a lot away from my war chest. My war chest being your save your bum money. Because for the first time ever, I managed to have a completely empty portfolio.
How did that happen?
Because rent to rent, when it all goes tough, go bankrupt and hand you the houses back.
So all your houses are on rent to rents with individuals
Not
mostly?
all of them. Some of them were holiday lets that I was managing, but no one was going on holiday during lockdown.
Wow.
And the single lets that I do have just happened to be empty at that time. I was like, oh man, this is stressful.
Wow.
But, okay, I've got a war chest, just pay the mortgages. And then I've got managers back in, I've got nurses in during lockdown. It's like, okay, change the strategy, what's going to work? People are going to need to not be at home because of this virus thing. All right, nurses going in. I've got rooms available. Phone the hospitals, phone charities, who have you got? And eventually it was like, nurses in. I've got managers that want to take in
I was
stuff.
telling people around about July, August time, I was saying to people, now's the time to get rent-to-rent deals. If you're looking for rent-to-rents, because all these landlords have had their keys handed back to them from the rent-to-renters with empty properties. July, August time, now's the time. And you know what? No one listened to me because they were all scared. They're all like, oh, I don't know.
Fear and greed, the two things that affect the market.
So do you think that normal agents are much less motivated to fill it out than rent-to-renters?
Definitely. Rent-to-renters have to do an amazing job to get paid.
Yeah.
If that room isn't full, they're not getting a lot of their profit. So that makes a huge difference to them. A letting agent has got 150 properties and they're making 50 from each one. If one room isn't full, it's like maybe a fiver to them. It's such small effect on them.
And also,
you're not important.
Another thing is with estate agents is it's normally not their business. So you might be dealing with someone that's getting paid, 18 grand a year, and they might get a piddly commission. Whereas rent-to-renters, normally you're dealing with the business owner.
Yes.
So they tend to be, I would agree with that.
And I'm not by any way, shape or form knocking letting agents, because some people do amazing stuff. But just from my experience and my reasoning behind giving my stuff to rent-to-renters, which ultimately caused me a load of headaches in lockdown.
Yeah.
But we had funds behind me, and also at the time, because as you probably know from the car, I'm a bit of a petrol head, and I've got a collection of 16 motorbikes and whatever.
I know. I've seen pictures of all these massive, big old cars.
Yeah, I've got 1920 stuff. I've got V8s. I've got loads of bikes from V twins, if that means anything to you, right the way through to modern stuff. So in the middle of lockdown, my local bike shop where I go and kind of get trade-ins and that kind of thing, and then do them up and sell them, a bit like property really. They said, look, our service manager's leaving. Do you want to come and work? It's the middle of lockdown. I can't do any property networking events. I can hit the phones, but I can also do that in the evening because no one's going out to work much. And I said, yeah, you know what? I'll give it a go.
Yeah, fun.
So I've managed the workshop in Yamaha.
That's cool.
During lockdown, I've quit now because we're out the other side. But that was fun.
So
I'm not one for sitting indoors all day. I'll go absolutely stir crazy. So it was really good that I was able to go out of the house.
Yeah.
I was able to deal with people. I could play with motorbikes.
Well, that's
all day.
your love, isn't it? And it's like, and the same way
passion.
as well. Sometimes people will say to me, "Why do you bother doing this and that?" And it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to just sit at home or lie on a beach? And
when everyone else is at work. This is what people don't get. When you go full-time property, you can spend a lot of time with other people that are in businesses and property, but we're also running businesses. So if you have selected a day that you're just going to enjoy yourself and do nothing, there's no one else around. Everyone else is working or running their business and doing stuff. It's like, okay, what do I want to do? All right, I can ride motorbikes. Yeah, I can drive my car around. Yeah, I can restore some old bikes. But then what? It's like, there's I can go travelling, but a lot of the time, everyone else is at work. So manage your time.
Yeah, and do you think that there's a real lack of education around business, finance, investment,
Yes.
just generally in this country.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's lots of myths and there's lots of fear.
Yeah.
If you want to get involved in finance, get some education. Understand the business that you're going into, understand your obligations under the FCA, and make sure that you're on the right side of the business, and then bring people in to do the stuff that you don't want to do, that have the skills that you don't.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I outsource to the Philippines. I've got team members that are very good at spelling because I'm dyslexic and can't even say entrepreneur. But that's my weakness. My strengths are I can go out, meet people, talk to people, make deals, make money, get tenants in, do all the hands-on stuff. That's what I love. And when I go home, I'll play with my cars, play with my motorbikes, do all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And other than that, what am I going to do? Carry on buying houses.
Yeah.
That's what I love. And this is what property gives you the freedom to do.
Yeah.
But going back to the education thing, there's not much finance education in property. Because at the end of the day, if you're dealing with other people's money, you have a lot of responsibility. The other thing is, if you're dealing with money that has passed to you from an unethical source, you can end up with 10 years of jail.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that and you've got a couple of things in place and they give you lots of money that's genuine, you can end up with a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah.
So
it's super important to be. It's like any business, People that say you don't need to go on property training and get trained, you can just get it for free online. I'm thinking this is the most lucrative business on the planet. Why do you think that to be a hairdresser or an electrician or a plumber or anything, an accountant? Oh, you need to go and get trained. You need to go to college. You need to go. But to be a property investor, you don't. It's almost an insult to the property industry.
It's crazy, and you see a lot of people making some really bad calls, and you just think, just use it as my college education.
Yeah.
I didn't go to college, I didn't get on very well. When I do the training programs that you run and other people run, that's kind of like my college course.
Yeah.
If you're doing a business finance and you want to go up a level and be paid more, people go and do a course. And I don't know why people are so anti-property training. In general,
and most of my training I put out for free.
Well, exactly.
On YouTube and the crash course and stuff. What's your strongest reason for doing this? Like, I get you love bikes and motors, and you don't want to have a bit of time, freedom as well.
Yeah, freedom.
What's the real strong reason that you do this?
My family's one. So before my parents passed away, I said to them, I'm going to look after the family. So that's a massive driver. I want that Ferrari, and the longer I put it off, the harder it'll work. So
yeah,
I'll have to buy it in the next couple of years. And freedom to play my motorbikes. You know what? Yeah. I'm a simple kind of guy, and I love what I do. And if I wasn't going to do anything, I'd buy houses anyway. Yeah,
that's so good. So what was your final piece of advice? Someone watching this now that's thinking, Josh, if you can do it, and you're an average guy, same as me, average guy, not from a wealthy family, you've been homeless, you've had situations where you're sleeping in the car, definitely weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
No, you can work for it.
But what would be your final, what would be your final piece of advice to someone watching this? What's the key to your success in property?
There's two things. One is just get started.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing is get properly educated. Okay, so come into courses, talk to people, team up with people that are doing it. That's still education because you're learning. Make sure you do it the right way from the beginning, and then you'll be fine. If you blow your pot at the beginning, or you blow your investors at the beginning, it's very difficult to recover. And enjoy it.
Yeah.
And most importantly, never give up.
What brilliant advice. Josh, it's a real pleasure, man. I love to see you winning. Thank you so much for giving your time up to come on here. If you want to connect with Josh Knecht, you can connect with him. I'll leave his details in the description. Also, if you want to watch Josh's last interview that he did with me almost 2 years ago now, you can check that out right here. If you want to see a whole playlist of people winning, smashing it in property as a result of the training that I provide, you can see them all up here, right here. And please do me a massive favor and subscribe to the channel right down here. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you next time.